Welcome back to the Robbins Show. Come on in and sit a while. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship and small business. We're actually doing a follow-up episode on the subject of focus, because I love the word focus. Anyway,
let's focus on it.
Well, let's focus on focus. But this is the Robbins Business Show, all about entrepreneurship and small business, and we don't have our pom-poms today, but we're Coach and I are cheerleaders.
I got mine in the car.
For small business.
Borrowed them from my wife.
You do? You've got a couple of pom-poms in your car?
No.
I'll bring some to the studio next time.
I will.
We encourage, we advise small business. It doesn't matter whether you're just in the thinking stage, you're thinking about starting a business, or
Sure.
you're in the act,
Right.
somewhere in the act of starting a business, or business is up and running.
Yep.
But maybe it's running well, maybe it ain't.
Maybe you're not growing.
Or maybe you want to grow or change direction,
Right.
Or even
Pivot.
at the end of the business cycle. You want to sell the business,
Yep.
or you want to take on more investors. You want to expand. You want to acquire. You want to buy another business and expand. Whatever your case
We do it all.
might be,
We do it all.
we do it all. Everything.
We target everybody.
I'm Bill Fox, the co-host of the show, but the other co-host, this guy you got to watch out for,
Yeah.
because as he walks down the street, people point and they say, "There goes Coach Robbins. He's bodacious, and he is, above all else, he is dynamic, and he is electric."
That's me.
That's Coach Robbins.
Dynamic and electric. Yeah, I think I'm missing an electron.
You're an electric scholar, in fact.
Oh, of course. You kidding? I was explaining to my wife the other day why one of the burners burnt out in the stove, and how, because they're wired in parallel, I could cut one and get the rest of the stove to work. And she looked at me and goes, "Wah, wah, 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 wah." She said, "I don't want to listen to this electrical theory." I said, "Well, I don't know much about it," but there it was.
We're keying off an author, Martin Zwilling, who's writes for Entrepreneur Magazine.
Really
and he
good.
also has a company that helps small business, get started.
Yep.
But he's he has good insight. Good,
He really does.
good
Yep.
ideas and I like it. I like it because he likes my ideas, which is a principle on my part is focus.
Right.
And we just did an episode about focus on advising entrepreneurships, small business startups, especially limited time, limited resource, limited capabilities. Learn to focus,
Right.
and not say I'm going to sell to everybody in China.
Can't be all things to all people. You wind up being nothing to all people.
In this episode, we're going to talk about specific exercises,
Right.
action to take. Instead of just preaching at you, we're going to talk action.
You'll have a takeaway.
And he starts with, Coach, he says, stay customer-centric. That will strike home with you because that's one of your favorites of all time.
Especially,
But customer-centric in all business actions.
absolutely, and especially in the nascent, how you like that word, the early stage of your business, a tightly targeted customer audience, potential audience, segmented in the market, which we've talked about, targeting someplace where you have a competitive advantage, positioning your company, STP, and going after that market. That's what you can afford to do, both monetarily and with time and with production capabilities. And that's where you want to get your minimum viable product into the market and get proof of concept to prove to the world, including your future investors, that there is a market for your product.
The author says, an entrepreneurship, a startup situation has limited resources, and so you're doing this. You're looking at time spent, money spent, establishing a priority or focus instead of being all things to all people.
You need to bootstrap things, and part of bootstrapping is focusing on a minimum product for a minimum target audience and getting proof of concept, getting some sales going, and getting the company a foothold in a marketplace.
Well,
do you know where bootstrapping came from, the expression?
Robert Burns.
No, you tried that on the previous show. When I said Shakespeare?
Well, it was Napoleon.
Nope. It was a tale in Germany of Baron von Munchen, who pulled himself out of the sea by his own bootstraps. Gotcha.
You've been thinking about that all night, I think.
No, it just popped into my head. I just learned it recently. I said, where the heck does this thing bootstrapping come from? What does it mean? And that's what it means. He pulled himself out. It's a legend, a German legend. But, I mean, that's what we're talking about here. You've only got so much money, so don't go blowing it on things. Spend it very wisely. Bootstrap.
The author mentions one thing I know. This is very wise on his point. It's also can be difficult, especially for a guy like you who advise business people. Don't let personal passion substitute for customer data.
Right.
That, in a way, that may seem like an attack on the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is known to have passion and to have ambition,
right,
and to want to solve everybody's problem.
Well, focus that passion on some starting point. And
also today, make use of social media, which is such a big part of.
Huge.
Has to be written into your marketing plan somewhere along the line.
And not all of it. Again, pick one or two or three social media platforms that you feel you could devote time to steadily.
Because they take time.
They take time, and you can't do them all. So pick a few that you find are the best for your target audience and get started there.
That creates a so-called an interaction with customers.
Exactly.
Social media, that's what it's all about.
Right.
And also you can now use the internet more. We never had that, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Is gathering technical, financial, and opportunity data.
Right. And data turns into information that you can use to your advantage.
Right. So, and the next is activities. The author says prioritize activities weekly.
Right.
You don't say, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a startup, say, well, we're going to do so-and-so over the course of the next year. Say, next week, starting on Monday.
What are you going to do? And what are your top three things that you've got to really focus on doing well to start to build your company?
That's tough.
It is, but you have to. Because otherwise you run around putting out fires. You've got to look and say, these are the 3 or 4 things I need to do every week for my business, and I am going to prioritize, and I'm going to do these because I know this is going to build the future of my company.
Write them down.
Write them down. They should be right on the grease board in your wall.
And thereby, that concentrating on the top 3 means you don't do everything poorly.
No, you do those 3 or 4 things really better than anybody else. You focus on those things.
Also, this is
they're your raison d'etre, your guiding light. How'd you like that? That's French for you.
Yeah. You're Jeanne d'Arc, You don't allow, this is tough too, this is really, really a toughie, which is do not allow a daily crisis, and there will be one, every day.
But if you
break your discipline.
If you take care of 3 or 4 things every week, and they don't become daily crises, and if somebody creates a crisis that's not important to you, your company, well, guess what? It's not your crisis. So you don't have to go to every gunfight you're invited to, I always say.
Yeah. Especially don't go to a gunfight when you have a squirt gun.
Yeah, or a knife.
Now, this is Coach. This is your favorite.
My biggie
of all time. This is Coach's biggie. This is Manage Cash Flow Daily. Coach, what is CFIMITYM?
I got it at the MIT Enterprise Forum 20 years ago, and now I'm being credited like Lincoln was credited with something that was said by a philosopher 1,000 years before them. I'm being credited with cash flow is more important than your mother.
Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely.
Say that one more time.
Cash flow is more important than your mother. Profits are important over the long run, certainly, but you need to focus every week on cash flow. And cash flow is nothing more than how much money do I start the week with, how much money am I projecting I'm going to collect next week, what checks am I going to write next week, and what is my balance going to be at the end of the week. And if you don't plan that, especially in the nascent stage of your business, you're going to get yourself in trouble. You're going to run into cash flow problems even if you're making a profit.
This is an important a key item, because you told me once, you told me 25 times, you lecture entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs, whatever.
Yep, right.
And you've told me this again and again and again, that in the morning you talk about fun things like marketing and product and stuff,
right.
Advertising.
Yeah, marketing.
In the afternoon, you talk about finance, and there's nobody left in the audience.
Hey, 25 people sitting in the morning listening to me talk about marketing and organizational behavior and change management, and that's all the fun stuff. And then they'll have a free lunch, bank sponsored, and in the afternoon I kick into the financial piece, and 10 of them will say,
You start talking about balance sheet and P&L,
balance
all of a
sheet,
sudden everybody has to go to
cash
the
flow,
bathroom.
doing a 13-week cash flow pro forma, and boy, they bail out in a hurry, and I guarantee you, those are the ones that are going to go bankrupt.
But the truth, Coach, is that finances demand relentless focus.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Finances, that's the lifeblood of the company.
You better believe it. And cash is the lifeblood of the company.
It says, the author says, you could be on budget and run out of cash.
You can be right on budget and you run out of cash because you didn't collect it, and you pay your bills with cash.
Yeah.
You pay your people with cash. You got to have cash. You keep the lights on, the light bill paid with cash. You don't do it with inventory, you don't do it with account receivable, and you do it with what cash is in your account, and you got to pay.
You can be profitable but broke.
I was profitable but broke when I grew a company from 1 million to 2.5 million. I was flat broke, couldn't discount my bills, didn't really understand the concept of cash flow. I learned it in a hurry and grew the company to $22 million once I realized, I got to pay these people, and every Friday I got to pay the people that are working for me. And I do that with cash, not an account receivable. Obviously my accounts receivable had more than doubled because I doubled sales. A lot of my cash was invested in accounts receivable. A lot of my cash was invested in inventory. Yeah, I had a $300,000 profit. Great, where is it? It's in inventory and receivables, but I can't make Friday payroll. I learned.
It also says, the author, he tells you investors don't bet twice.
Right.
You say, well, I blew it this time and I went broke, but I'll do it right the next time.
Right.
So and also you need to set and communicate your targets with your team.
Yes. Communication is critical.
I know the mythology, entrepreneurship is the single person who's the knight with the lance and going out to chase
the knight with the lance had Sancho Panza, as crazy as he was, and the Lone Ranger had Tonto. So give me a break. You can't do these things in a vacuum. You can't do them alone.
It's a team, and
it's a team effort, and you need to communicate to the team.
But that team thing. A startup. That doesn't necessarily mean employees on a payroll.
No.
Team can be people who are aiding and abetting you and helping you, sustaining you, but not necessarily employed by you.
Absolutely. Like we are when we work for the SCORE, or I work for the Small Business Development Center out of the University of Massachusetts. I'm on their team. I'm a very important member of probably 100 different teams. But definitely, you got to communicate to your team those 3 or 4 or 5 goals, and they all have to be, and the word I love here is engaged. Your employees should be engaged with your business. That's the leadership you provide, the communication that you're giving them. That's critically important to getting these people engaged with the growth of the company.
Right. And you want to also, This is, for people starting a company, you need to make sure that the team is doing what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
You don't just say, go handle, and hope and trust
Yep.
that your priority will be accomplished.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
And you have to keep score.
Yep.
That's metrics. That's known as metrics.
Yep. Can't manage what you don't measure.
And ask yourself, and be brutal, be honest, are you making progress?
Right.
You also want to define the leading and lagging measures on progress.
Yep.
But measurement is essential. And that's a biggie with you. I think you're a big believer.
You can't manage what you don't measure, and you need SMART goals and objectives: specific, measurable, attainable, responsible, timely. That's what you need: specific, measurable, attainable, responsible, timely. SMART goals, and you measure that. You can control that. You can see we're on target or we're not, and if we're not, you got to do something about it. That's called management. And if you do the same thing and expect a different result, as Dr. Einstein said, you're nuts.
And you guys say, great, measure what? The author says, customer leads,
Yep.
solution cost, sales volume,
Yep.
cost of customer acquisition,
Cost of customer acquisition is a very important.
market penetration,
Yep.
reaching your penetration goal,
Right.
for the niche.
Yep.
The niche
From the bottom up, not from the top down. Gee, I'm going to get 10% of the Chinese market. No, I'm going to have 3 people on the road. They're going to sell 3 distributors a week, and those distributors buy this much. You build it from the bottom up. You don't just say from the top down.
You're running a company, Coach, and I say to you, how many new customers did you have last month? Mm-hmm. You know what your answer is? I don't know.
If your answer is I don't know, you're in trouble. And because I want to say, gee, you know what? I had 72 customers to start with. I picked up 5 new customers last month. I'm up to 78 because I didn't lose any. Or I lost one, and I want to go find out why I lost that one.
That's measurement.
That's measurement.
Also, you insist, as a entrepreneur, you insist and you nurture total team accountability.
Accountability, that SMART acronym again: specific, measurable, so we can manage it, not pie in the sky, really specific, measurable, keep an eye on it, attainable but a stretch goal. Not, I don't want people high jumping over a limbo bar, as I like to say. No. And the R that I like is responsibility. We're all responsible for certain things, and we have to live up. We have to be accountable to people, and everybody is accountable to the CEO of the company or the owner or the founder of the company.
Right, you yourself, but also everyone on your team.
You're accountable for everybody who's on your team.
No excuses.
Nope. There are reasons, and you have to deal with those. That's part of management, but you're responsible. There's an accountability issue, and everybody is accountable for something.
Also, don't have multiple people doing the same job somehow.
Yep.
Colliding, with each other.
Right.
You yourself are a role model, and you set an example.
Walk the talk.
Walk the talk, wear the shoes.
Yep.
Okay. And if necessary, if necessary, punish mistakes.
You have to. I mean, I had a manager after one of my companies, and he said, gee, Cliff was a great guy to work for, and he was just wonderful and motivational, but believe me, if you did something wrong, he wasn't afraid to put a bullet hole in you this big. Sometimes you have to do it. You don't like to do it, but I'd never like to do it, but if it's necessary, you got to do what you got to do.
But by the same token, reward good results.
Even if it's just an attaboy or an attagirl, good God, there's just not enough rewards going on in the world. I have a woman that works for me in the main office, and she just did some great reports, put some stuff together, and I said, gee, that was really well done. Thank you very much. You think I gave her a raise? Not in my purview to give her a raise, but if I had it, I would have given it to her. She just did a great job. She was so thrilled that I said, well done, nice going.
And keep those team members, act in a way that keep those team members and customers motivated.
Absolutely, because if your team isn't motivated, if they're not engaged, I always felt a lot of people say my customers are my most important asset. And I don't totally disagree with the fact that they are a critically important asset, but I always felt my employees were an even more important asset to me, which is why I took good care of them, because they're the ones that are taking care of the customers. I can't be in 6 different cities taking care of my customers. It's those employees in those cities that are doing it. So I always felt that employed, well-led, well-motivated, well-engaged employees are going to take care of those customers, and then the customers are going to follow suit and be engaged with the company.
And the author says, do you really think that unhappy team members create happy customers or loyal customers?
Unhappy team members create
Or do you
unhappy,
care,
well, you better care. And one of the reasons two of the reasons good people leave a company, number one, it's bad management. That's the number one reason people quit their job, is because their manager is terrible, okay? Oh. And when good people are quitting a company, you better figure out why they're leaving. Now, the other thing that good people leave for is because the company isn't taking care of their customers, and these good people are getting nothing but complaints, so they're getting it from the other end, and these customers aren't happy with their product, the service, the pricing, whatever it is, and people say, I don't want to work for this company. That's the number 2 reason people leave. But either of those is very, very expensive, because you got to replace those people, and you got to go through the search process, and then you got to do the training process, and you've lost money. When you lose a good person, you've lost money. You lose them because your company's doing things for customers that are bad, and customers are angry, they leave, or the person's just working for a very bad, what we call a serial manager, and I mean serial with an S, not a C. And so they quit, and that's very costly to your company.
So you should have sustainability goals.
Yes.
And you could also add, social responsibility in there as, goals for your company.
Yep. Corporate social responsibility is a huge issue. Like I said, many years ago, I had a client who actually wound up, her products wound up being spoken about on Oprah's show, and the Oprah effect kicked in, and her company, her phones lit up and the place exploded. Why? Because they made a better food product. I won't mention what it is. No, because this company did so much good social work on, in their neighborhood that Oprah said, yeah, they make a good pie, but these people are giving back 10% of their products to local charities, and they're focused on helping. They had good corporate social responsibility, and that alone made Oprah talk about them, and Oprah talking about them blew the company up 4 times its size. The Oprah effect kicked in big time. And again, because she felt these are good people doing good things.
By the way, all this talk about unhappy team members and highly motivated teams and motivated customers and sustainable goals. I don't know if you've been watching the newspapers. There was a big, this is not an entrepreneurship by any means. It's a big, huge developed company, but all of their employees went on strike. Mm-hmm. And it was 2 weeks. According to the newspaper this morning, the company lost 80% of its sales. Yeah. The customers went with the employees. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That was, and the goal of the company was to cut wages, cut pension, cut overtime, cut jobs, everything, and. In other words, what's happening is the company's not being managed very well, okay? They're spending too much, they're not making enough money, and they want to take it out on the employees. Is that what you're telling me? That it's a poorly ran, poorly managed company by a bunch of leaders that don't know what the hell they're doing. Well, that's a way to create loyalty, and the loyalty... Oh, sure, that's a real way to create loyalty in both customers and the folks that went out on strike. The loyalty walked away from the company. They lost 80% of their business. Well, I have a word for that type of leadership. Morons. I have a tendency to sugarcoat things, don't I? Yeah, you. My wife's a psychotherapist. She's working out of me coming out of my shell. Doing a hell of a job. Oh, yeah. She's proud, boy. So the author says, he finishes off and says, stay business focused. Yep. Sure, yes, entrepreneurs need new ideas and inspiration. Sure they do. Yeah. And perspiration. Yep. But
Yeah.
that's not enough. Inspiration, ideas, that's great, but it's not the whole story by any means. They need to focus on building discipline and great solutions.
It's all about discipline and it's all about execution. And I don't mean, I mean executing it according to plan and paying attention to the journey, not just the end result.
Winners focus on key business discipline.
Just a few key business, it's like when I'm flying my airplane and I get into clouds, there's only 4 instruments I'm looking at. I got a plethora of instruments all over that panel, but there are 4 that I focus on. And that's what a business needs to do. When you get into the clouds, all the time, if nothing else, you focus on 4 or 5 key metrics and you'll be okay. You'll be able to run your company.
Winning entrepreneurs focus on key disciplines. They stretch they think about and actually work towards stretching the capability and performance of their team.
Yep.
But in all of this, the author says, don't expect a cakewalk. But he also says, as a last note, enjoy the journey as well as the destination.
It's like life. Enjoy the journey, because especially in life, the destination ain't too hot. But enjoy the ride.
Coach, thank you. This is the Fox Robbins Business Show, all about entrepreneurship and small business. All of our episodes are uploaded to YouTube for convenience. You can select and watch topics that are of current interest, and we have a whole library.
Yes, we do.
At this point.
Couple hundred shows.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I know.
I can't believe it.
You used to have dark.
That's focus.
You had dark hair, didn't you, when you first started? I had hair when I first started.
Go to YouTube at the search box. Just key in a single word, Fox Robbins, FOXROBBINS, Fox Robbins, and click, and voila, there's a library of different topics, and pick one that is of current interest to you.
Yep.
And a time that's convenient that you can spend a few minutes watching.
Right.
And we will see you guys next time.